Sorry for the delays, guys. I made a big oopsie. I was moving some directories around and I did a move slash star. I did this first and then I went back and did it without the star. And I managed to lose the Git directory in the process and all of my branches for this project, which is obnoxious, is putting it lightly. I am upset right now. So yeah, I was trying to get that ready for a demo for the things I wanted to film. And now I'm just mad. Junior issues. I'm sorry. I haven't left a star in accidentally in a bit. And I haven't moved a directory via CLI just to put it somewhere like visually nicer in a very long time. We all make mistakes, but this is my first time losing history, so to speak, in a very, very long time. Thankfully, I still have the last state it was in, which is a good state. But I'm going to go and grab that repo quick and do my best to fix that. Git clone that, auto draftify. I just realized I lost my environment variables from that change as well. That is great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these. Actually, I'd rather just delete those. Hop back into here. I don't trust anything right now. Okay, that all looks good. Let me go get environment variables quick. Keys. Cool. That is done. I'm almost done at hitting, or almost done hitting my snitch bench cap for Open Router. That's funny. Let me grab the YouTube live. I'll do that here. I have that there. Post, pop out. I don't need any of this other stuff open, I don't think. Checking. Cool. Good there. Here. And no, I don't use Time Machine. Uninstall. And this is on, yeah, Arena. Yes. The git ignore changes aren't going to be persisted. Let me update that. Results. Status. Oh. We were good the whole time. This is what I wanted. Okay. Noted. this should be the latest state. Uninstall. The fuck is it? Oh, okay. There we go. Let me just run it. Head-to-head essay comparison. Yeah, that's the right one. Cool. We're good. What I wanted to do was add in 5.2. You know what? I like to specify a separate set of reviewer models that do the comparisons. Yeah, I think that's actually, they should be determined by adding a reviewer Boolean to the runnable models. So if I don't do this, it's going to be a very expensive run. It's going to be expensive anyways. It's a fun little bench I made. I want to use it for some of the videos I want to film today. Was hearing fuck words before turning on camera? No, I was just like, oh, I haven't made a mistake like this in a while. That's dumb. But now I know I just was one directory deeper than I thought I was. Dumb mistakes happen. Cool. Let that do its thing. Oh boy, new research. Hey, the scaling agents paper. This is yeah, from a few days ago. I remember people talking about this one. I think I already have it saved, but I will save it again just in case. Tanzak video will go live pretty soon. Just need to have ads and things ready for it, but we're also behind a video, so I wanted to film today. Cool. Changes, that's all fine. That's fine. Yeah. Cool. Keep all. Sure. That. Let's make a few more changes. I don't want this to be a reviewer. False. There. In there. And then it's a subfield effort. Hi, cool. Add an extra close tag. There we go. Why is prettier so mad? There's a comma. There we go. Cool. That's all done. Let me make sure I have that on for all of them. And there. It's going to be expensive benchmark. It's going to be so long to run anyways. I'm just going to comment that out. Yeah, let's just do it. Get this running now before I forget, because it's going to take a while. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm going to make one more change. Stagger the API calls so I can increase the concurrency without sending gigantic batches all at the same time. I just did this on Skatebench and I was able to significantly bump the concurrency without hitting limits, which was very, very nice. So I'm doing that here as well. While that's running, I forgot to change to 5.2. Thank you, chat. Cool. Kill that. Appreciate y'all. Twitch chat's the best code reviewer in the world. Appreciate you guys a ton. Let me thank all the subs I missed and things when I was getting started. We got It's a MVN with the 6 months. Dogpile with 41 months. Fucking crazy. Thank you so much for the support. Pi Lewis with the 7. Appreciate y'all a ton. You guys are doing well. I need to go send the Discord notification too. Let me do that quick. Discord. Here we go. Hop into here. Announcements. Saturday. HTTPS. Cool. I did very good with having a code. It was a good year. I had a chance to really look at the leaderboards after. I was so busy the last night that I just did it and then disappeared. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about today. I have chat scene just changed forever. Let me label this as a priority. And this would also be a priority. Cool. Okay. How is this job going? Still going. Have you found one potential issue? Is it the 5.1 thing? No. Fix that, sure. Switch to agent mode so I can take a look at these separately. Review this code. Looks good. The other change just disappeared because of the work the other thing was doing. That's great. We love that. Undo. And that's... What the fuck, cursor? The other changes it made just disappeared. It's not about them. I'll just use the git diff tool. That's fine. Yeah, wonderful. Just Can someone send this clip or get a clip of this for me to send to the team? Because that's just unacceptable. Like the changes it made just vanished because I hit the yes agent review button there and it just overrode the changes this other agent made. Like, what the fuck? People are asking if Cursor does work trees when running multiple things at once. By default, no, but you can set up work trees. But I've had so many bugs with work trees recently that I've been working with them to get fixed that I'm trying to not use them if I'm not doing like two things at once with different models. Cool. Let's re-review now that it hopefully fixed the changes. Wait, call this. Oh yeah, I guess that part. It's not showing that as new, but it would have to be. And this is in here, separate and unrelated, but yeah, I'll just keep those. And now I should be able to bump the concurrency limit up to like 100. And theoretically, all should be fine. It'll be expensive, but it will be fine. I didn't even turn on agent review in settings. It just kind of happened. Yes, this is the A writes the essay, B gives feedback on the essay, A updates the essay. And then the problem is the head-to-head section where I put every essay against every essay. I've not played Type Slayer, but it does look really cool. Good content. Don't recognize the URL. This looks very much interesting to me. I will be saving that to watch later. No, this is probably going to be a vid, yeah. DM me midday tomorrow and I can take a look. I've just been so fucking swamped. It's insane. Like I've sent 400 emails in the past 4 days and I have to send more soon too. This problem's even, yeah, reintroducing reference image yields worse results. Yeah. Consistency with image gen with all image models is pretty bad, but man, the nano banana stuff's been rough. RAM will obviously go down in price eventually when there's enough manufacturing, but there isn't enough manufacturing for the current demand, so the price will continue to skyrocket until that is resolved. Basic market dynamics. Here, all the revisions are happening. Cool. Yeah, it's anonymized. They have no way of knowing. When you see the results, it's actually interesting results. I posted this when I first ran it on Twitter. It was before my... It wouldn't have been before my deals. It would have been after. So it would have been after... It was November 30th-ish. Here, yeah. My previous results when I did this. Oh no. I'm not doing error handling. And that means I have to rerun the whole thing because I don't do caching on this job. That fucking sucks. That just cost me like 20 bucks because I didn't add caching or anything else. This is... I'm just switching to Opus. I want this done fast. Let me check OpenRouter to see how much money I just wasted. They move use activity. Here we are. Okay, not too bad. It was only like... Would have been... This one, only like $5. Not too bad. I really want to make a harness for these tests that is in effect. I just have had literally negative free time. I thought I'd be able to quickly get this where I wanted it. And that's not true. Once this is running with retries, I will film a different video. Yeah, reping at midday tomorrow. Thank you, Yash, for the resub. Thank you, Balalatro, for the resub as well. 4 months. 100% survival rate of Russian roulette, so it's safe. Well, 13 months. Some viewer in YouTube comments totally called this. Oh, the directory thing? Yeah. Or the error handling thing. Okay. I picked Opus because I thought it would be fast. So much for that. It's still going. Annoying. Let me do my offset quick. Oh, 43. I have to plug in the drive too. Cool. Done. This is done. Let's review. We will keep those. Must be annoying, but anyways. I think we are ready to start filming a video at least. Let's do one that's less involves these things. The React hacked again, probably. How long is West Boss's video about this? Because I might include it in mine. I thought he did a video on this. Is it on his personal channel or something? Yeah. There it is. Okay, this is 16 minutes, 17 or so, but yeah. That's good. Does it cover the new one much? Because it looks like it's just React to Shell. At least that's how it's branded. Of course, my audio isn't working. Why would it? Well, that makes that a lot easier decision. Cool. I think that's all good. That's running fine. We're in the revisions phase. Thank you, Death Fudge, for the 24 months. Appreciate you. And Neutrino for the 13. Already got you Yash, but we appreciate it still. 30 fucking months, legend. Then King George with the cheer as well as NMG. Thank you all. What are we doing today? Filming a handful of videos. I do really want to cover React getting hacked again. I want to do the Shadcn stuff. But I want to do the vibes are off with Gemini 3, as well as benchmarks are making models dumber, a more general complaint about how GPT 5.2 sucks. This is going fine. Okay. No, absolutely not. There's no relationship between layoffs and React hack at all. Like there couldn't be less of a relationship between those things. That's why I want to cover it in a video, because it's not like, oh, they have less people, so these things are happening, or oh, like React inherently insecure because of this model, that's why this is happening. It's just like a thing that happens. Did you make an account? What are you talking about? Okay, my comparisons are all going. That's going to be expensive. That'll be 870 or so of these, if I recall. We'll let that run. Thank you, Kevin Vandy, for the resub. Been interested in base UI for a while. Same. Super excited. Happy that you swung by, man. As well as Noir with the Prime. Thank you all again. Cool. I don't know if I even want to talk about this. I'll throw this in the I'm tired of benchmaxing thing. Oh, thank you, Keystone Science. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, did Prime hit his goal yet? I really want him to hit a mill. 998. He's so close. It's not clean shot, it's shotter. Yep. This is why I should definitely cover it more, but also we'll bring this point up. What do you have for me here from Variety? Woo's AI video Disney characters is their season to cease letter. Interesting. Yeah, it's also Disney partnering with OpenAI. Oh boy, please tell me it's bug fixes. Please tell me it's bug fixes. These are the lamest leaks ever. It's like the health app is getting changed. Cool. Who is Theo Sweet? I wasn't sub to Prime yet. A ton of people. My tweets get millions of views pretty often. How much did I make from Sora? I didn't make $1 off Sora. We got a few of those deep eng videos coming soon. Don't worry too much. This is still going. It's going to take a while, but I did see the long compression thing. I have this saved. Definitely think I want to read into later. Thank you, Zocker, for the Prime, as well as Izar. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. Thank you for the 2 months of Prime. Appreciate the both of you. I'm doing that comparison video in the near future. I am still working on my what I'm calling one-shot bench harness, where I have real-world problems and real traditional harnesses and see how the models perform. Thousands of our snitch bench evals typically, like for the whole thing, like $80 for one run at least. I am excited. I haven't read this yet, but I am excited about what's going on over in the Blue Sky world with Dan over there. And I know that Zayu's been crushing in the whole like I forgot the name of the standard. But yeah, they're all having a lot of fun. It's all real world problems I've had, so it's probably going to be mostly TypeScript. It's going to be significantly more expensive. Like I'll have to fund the usage. I will gladly, if you need an open router key, I will gladly provide one with like 2K of spending on it for the work that you're doing. That should cover you for a bit at least. First party source. Oh yeah, this is very good actually. We'll drop that in the list. Cool. How's my run going here? Oh boy. The first topic is done. And 5.2 with Gemini as a reviewer is now #1. That's interesting. It was Claude reviewing Gemini before, or Claude reviewing GPT 5.2.1 was the best before. Very interesting. Took 10 minutes to run that, which means it'll take 30 minutes for the whole thing. This will be an expensive bench for sure. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll send you one after stream. Remind me. Yeah, App Proto is what I was thinking of. Yeah, and Stitchbench is currently public. There's a lot of changes going on. I have lots of concurrency in the eval harness, like a ton of it, and I'm overhauling it against it. I'm probably gonna rewrite the whole thing in effect. I'm not positive. I really just need like enough time to breathe, sit down, and write code, which has not happened for like 6 fucking months at this point. I'm just so behind on so many things at all times. So yeah, let's get this moving. What do I want to cover first? I think React got hacked again is a good start. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, ink and effects probably what I'd be leaning. I really wish OpenTUI was a little bit further along. I did try it. It is really promising. It's not quite there yet. I do not have this video because I haven't moved any of my projects to Effect myself yet. My team has moved things over to Effect, but I haven't. And I don't want to do that video until I'm deeper in it myself. I'm still personally not that deep in Effect. Mandatory shutdown like the enterprise world? I don't know what you're referring to, so probably not. Price performance graph on Cinnamon is ruined by Grok. Escape bench, you mean? This one? Yeah. What you can do is just turn off Grok 4, and now it's useful again. What was really interesting with this is that GPT 5.2 makes this even weirder because the results on it were garbage. Did I post that yet? I have not. I think I have a repo up. Skate bench. I have a PR up. I think I had to make more changes to it, but I'm happy enough with it as is. I'm just going to merge it. Yeah, like this should be changed so that I'm guaranteeing reasoning on 3.1, but I don't care. I don't use DeepSeek 3.1 and no one really cares at this point. I'll be fine. I'll update that later. Issue deploying a bit. Really funny thing about this is I had to bump the next version, and the new next version automatically uses TurboPack, and TurboPack doesn't work nicely with Tailwind v3. So I had to switch back to Webpack for this build to build. This is not going to happen today. No, I don't have enough time set. They have to leave a little earlier than usual. You can't because you need a new account for each one. This is part of why we haven't added new sign-in new sign-in methods. XI is good, especially in Codex. First time you've been at risk of hitting rate limits on your pro plan. Well, yeah. Yeah, I feel that. Let me let's do React got hacked again. I will continue running. I'm assuming that oh no, this is still topic 2. Oh boy. It's gonna be an expensive run. Just some syntax that came with the V0 template was breaking, which makes it even funnier. Didn't ask an agent to try and fix it. I might do that in the future, but for now, just the problem I solved by doing -- Webpack. Let's do React got hacked again. I have an angle here. Canonical stream, not sure what you're referring to, but yeah, clarify if you can. Let's do React got hacked again. Is that the update out? Oh god, there's too many now. You can't see the name of the models. Yeah, 5.2 high is worse. That's annoying. Maybe I'll update the UI for this later. We need to do this. Cool. Keep that open. Keep this open because I need it for this guy. That already there. Cool. We're good to go. Let's do it. Also, just realized something wrong with my setup here. It's small, but it'll bug me. There we go. Cool. Let's get started with this video. Sorry for the delay, editor. I should have set the marker later. It happens. Man, that React hack last week was really, really bad. I'm thankful we have so many security people looking at the React project and making sure there's nothing else like this. I'm sure going forward, we're not going to find any other major, 2 new exploits were just found in React. Great. This is going to be a long video. I have a feeling this is going to be a long rant, especially because I'm seeing posts like this go around. Yeah, if you don't remember this snippet, it made a lot of people upset and concerned. Button, form action, use server, await SQL, insert into bookmarks, slug values, slug. Yeah. 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 As someone who's defended this a lot in the past, I have things to say. I'm going to do my best to go over these exploits, what the problems with them are, as well as what caused this and what I think about this being posted right now. Sadly, I couldn't find any banks that had this exploit Sadly, I couldn't find any banks that were on a new enough version of React for me to get free money using this exploit, so we'll do a quick word from today's sponsor instead. Keep this example in your mind. We'll come back to it later, but first I want to talk about these exploits. You've probably already heard plenty about the exploit that was earlier this week or last week, the remote code execution bug that was an exploit of the flight protocol within React. Today's is a bit different, though. These two new exploits are still very bad. I don't want to downplay how bad they are. They're a CV score of 7.5 and 5.3 respectively. The previous one was a 10, though, the worst it can be. These are still very, very bad and should be addressed, and I really like the public, loud calling out that the React team is doing of this. What's even funnier is that the React version that was the main newest version before these exploits were being found was 19.2.1, and we're now on 19.2.7. I was updating a project yesterday, my Skatebench benchmark. Let me make this easier. I was updating my Skatebench benchmark yesterday, and when I went to update React and update React and Next, because I had to update Next or Vercel wouldn't let me deploy, good, but annoying. Seeing how much the React version had bumped so quickly was terrifying. Wait, is it not 19.2.7? I thought it was. Was I just wrong on that? Yeah, I was wrong. I don't know why I saw 19.2.7. Yeah, it's 19.2.3. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. Ignore me. Cut that part. Just cut that whole dive. Yeah, cool. Retake from here. Sorry, face. Yeah. The denial of service one is definitely high severity. There are 2 CVEs that go into it, as well as the source code exposure. This one's more interesting because a lot of people expose their source code in various different ways. It is bad. If you're not trying to have an open source app, you shouldn't publish the source. I've seen a lot of people do this via source maps already anyways, but since you have this relationship between the server and client code, the capability of exploiting that is fascinating. I like their Twitter thread about this as a quick update. By the way, if you are using React and you're on version 19, make sure you're on 19.2.3 and you are safe. That's all you need to know. As long as you're on 19.2.3, you're good. And if you're on Next.js, just be on the latest if you're on v16 of Next, because the relationship between the Next and the React package is a bit questionable. So it's not as easy as just bumping React in a Next project. Bump the Next version as well. So they call it the CVEs. They say it's common for critical CVEs to uncover follow-up vulnerabilities. When a critical vulnerability is disclosed, researchers scrutinize adjacent code paths, looking for variant exploit techniques to test whether the initial mitigation can be bypassed. This also was happening with Cramforce. I spelled that wrong. This is also happening with Next.js and specifically Vercel. As I had mentioned before, Vercel put up a bounty for anybody who can find a workaround to their firewall level blocker, because they wanted to make sure that if a project was still on an old version, that to the best of their ability, Vercel could block the attempts to abuse it. So they put up this bounty. If you find a bypass around their firewall, $50,000, or they'll give you a $50,000 payout. 25 if it's high severity, $50K for critical severity. 15 unique issues were discovered, and they paid out almost $1 million. $750K went to researchers who found ways to work around their firewall blockers for this exploit. So they're all going really hard. Everybody is pushing at every edge to try and exploit the React ecosystem now, which is a good thing. I don't want to sit here and pretend it's not. Like, if you did this to almost any other set of tools in any other ecosystem, crazy shit's going to be found. Does React have its own weirdness that makes this more possible to find? Hold that thought. We'll be there later. The React team gives the example of when log4shell happened, which resulted in lots of other CVEs being filed after the original fix. Additional disclosures can be frustrating, but they're generally a sign of a healthy response cycle. I couldn't agree more. These vulnerabilities are present in the patches published last week for React to Shell. Even though they do not allow for remote code execution, they are high severity and you should update again immediately. Their initial attempt to protect from the DOS, or their initial attempt to block the DOS vulnerability, denial of service, was this CVE, but it didn't do well enough. And another CVE was filed right afterwards that showed that their attempt to protect from it wasn't good enough. So they had to do yet another update. That's why it was 19.2.2 and now 19.2.3. They had to do 2 updates because the first one was not good enough. So let's take a look at these CVEs. I'm sure they will be fun. Security research for the DOS one, the security researchers have discovered that a malicious HTTP request can be crafted and sent to any server functions endpoint that, when deserialized by React, can cause an infinite loop that hangs the server process and consumes CPU. Even if your app does not implement any React server function endpoints, it may still be vulnerable if your app supports server components. This creates a vulnerability vector where an attacker may be able to deny users from accessing the product and potentially have a performance impact on the server environment. Doing this on Fluid Compute or like Lambda-backed server experiences with React would be very expensive too. This is a denial of wallet attack as well. The patch published today mitigates this by preventing the infinite loop. So funny if you think about it, but this is like a edge case that causes an infinite loop as a high severity exploit. This isn't React is vulnerable to a style of attack that gives somebody access to something they shouldn't have. This is a malicious actor can take your service down by destroying the server's CPUs with an infinite loop that they can trigger with a malicious payload. This is still a 7.5 severity score for a CVE. That's how serious they take the scoring system for this stuff. That's something that doesn't risk user data is still put that high because it allows them to take a service down and is still being treated incredibly severely as it should. I just want to make sure it's incredibly clear that this is nowhere near as bad as the React to Shell exploit that was earlier this week. Should you update? Absolutely. Can somebody destroy your site with this? Absolutely. Is this putting your users' data directly at risk? Nowhere near as badly as the other exploit. And then there's the source code exposure. This one's only bad for your service if it's implemented in a way that is easy to exploit if you have source code access, because I can find exploits in unminified source for server code much easier than by just probing at stuff directly. This is another malicious HTTP request. Seems like all of those are the causes of these bugs. This one may unsafely return the source code of a given server function. Exploitation requires the existence of a server function which explicitly or implicitly exposes a stringified argument. So this one creates a connection with some secret key, and then we await connection.createUser, implicitly stringified, leaked in DB, and now this source code is going to leak. Dagger may be able to leak the following. So we have message hello, async function, server function. This is a minified version too. Very interesting. It's able to leak minified source. I would not have predicted that. And only secrets in source code may be exposed. So if you're using runtime secrets like environment variables, those will not be affected. The source of the exposed code is limited to the code inside of the server function, which may include other functions depending on the amount of inlining that your bundler is providing. Very interesting. Yeah. That's not too bad. So when you look at this, so when you first see that React got 3 severe CVEs in a week, your thought is that they must have done something terrible and React must be really, really unsecure right now. And that's how you feel, I understand. This is going to be a real reputation hit for the React project and team and people who are huge advocates of it, like myself, for a while. Similar to how Cloudflare's recent outages are a hit to their reputation, you just have to accept the fact that sometimes when things like this go wrong, it's going to be perceived differently for a while. And I would not be upset with anybody for perceiving React as less secure after this. But that's where we get here and where I have to crash out a little bit. There is nothing in this code that is unsafe. I want to be very clear for everybody looking at this. There is nothing in this code that is unsafe. Even if people in the replies are thinking that this code is fake because it's so obviously insecure, I've had to talk about this so many fucking times, and I'm so annoyed that I have to again. I will keep it brief because I'm sorry for the people who have had to hear me go on this rant so many times. This is not front-end code, this is back-end code. This is the equivalent of defining an endpoint in a PHP file, and nobody is looking at your PHP file and saying it's insecure. Unless you're inlining a SQL call with a string being passed, and that's obviously insecure, right? No, it's not. Because that's not what's happening here. This is a template function in JavaScript. This is not just passing a string with a value in it. The way template functions are... I want to find an example. The combination of a template literal and a tag function is a cool thing you can do in JavaScript. So you have a function like greet. You can call it by calling the tag like back tilde, or you have a function named greet like this. You can call it using a backtick with a string, and it's not going to call this function with the one string that is resolved. It's going to call it with an array like this, where it has each place before one of those templates occurs, create a new entity in a string array, and then pass all of the arguments in order after. So in this case, greet isn't being called with a string that says, I'm Theo, I'm 30 years old. It's being called with an array that has I am, comma, dot space, I'm, comma, dot space, years old. And then it takes the name and the age as additional arguments. That means that the only way that would be insecure is how you're implementing the function, because you choose how you parse this data. The way that this function is being called, isn't by passing a completed string to SQL. It is by the SQL function being called with an array that has two things in it. Insert into bookmark slug values, open paren, first value over, second value in the array, close paren, semicolon, backtick. Well, it's not even the backtick. It's just the close paren, semicolon. And then after the array, there is a new argument at the end, which is whatever you passed for slug. So as long as you do a basic check to make sure that you're passing safe values, like any amount of input sanitization here at all, and you're good. And you're doing great. Somebody asked, does this cause you to lose order? No, absolutely not. It's in order. It's in the same order. Like, just look at the code. You have this first break point, and you have a second break point. You can think of the template inserts here as breakpoints for the string. And then at the end, you pass the arguments in order. It's so annoying. It's like, and this sucks, is Ellie, who posted this, is great. She's a really good engineer and does incredible work on crazy database shit. She knows better than this. Obviously, this is a code, or obviously they're not posting this code snippet because they think it's perfectly, or obviously they're not posting an insecure code snippet at a giant conference. It's meant to be a simple, concise demo of how useful these patterns compose together. The idea of a bookmark icon being a component that you mount on the server that you put in an element, you pass it a slug, and now you click it and it's all handled is actually really, really cool. That said, if you think this code is insecure, use an ORM or a third-party service like Convex. You probably shouldn't be using databases like this directly. You'll be doing a lot of stupid shit. Man, I don't even want to talk about the exploits for some of these like database turned into API companies. Ugh. Yeah, and I guarantee some of the people talking shit on this are using Firebase with the default insecure configuration. I know how this goes. Yeah, this is why I'm angry, because there's nothing about any of these exploits that has anything to do with the fact that you can write a action for a server function inside of a server-only button component. All they're doing here is changing where the backend code lives. Normally, you'd have to do a JavaScript fetch call here to an endpoint on the backend. But if this code doesn't have any other JavaScript it needs, just put the action in. This is a great pattern. I really like this. Good question from chat. What annoys me more, this picture or battery gate? They are so similar in the same way. Like I love battery gate because when people bring it up, they disqualify all of their takes on anything Apple, because most people think battery gate is Apple intentionally making old devices obsolete because they're making them slower. Then why is it called battery gate? They didn't even look into why it's named that. It's called battery gate because it's a feature where when your battery gets degraded enough on older iPhones because you live in a really hot or really cold environment, they would throttle how fast the phone goes to full speed. They wouldn't change what the full speed was. They weren't underclocking your phone. They were changing how quickly it got to the highest clock speed. The reason they did that is if your phone went from pulling 1/10 of a watt to pulling 5 to 10 watts because your processor went from barely running to running full speed, if your battery was degraded, your phone would shut off. Lowering the speed that the phone ramps up at, lowering the acceleration, not the velocity, just the acceleration to that max speed, prevented the phones from shutting themselves down. That is a reasonable change. And the fact that people bring it up as Apple intentionally making old devices slow in order to make you buy a new one is similarly stupid and bad faith to this being posted when the React team is working really hard to address novel, incredibly hard to find exploits. There's a lot of overlap in these things. Like, it's the same type of frustrating dishonesty where either you don't know enough about this to be talking about it, or you do and you're doing it anyways because you're being bad faith. It has to be one of the two. Apple did notify users that their batteries were degraded. And they have more transparency about battery health than any other company, and they do cheaper battery replacements than any other company. I do have my complaints about this, though. Let me say the things I'm frustrated about. Let me go to my Vercel deployments quick. Thing one I'm annoyed about. This. I can't deploy projects that are on old versions, and I get why they did this, but the sheer number of things I have to go deal with is obnoxious. On top of that, some of them just had weird failures that were very annoying, like Skatebench's UI. If you're not familiar with Skatebench, it's a benchmark I made to measure how smart models are at naming different skateboarding tricks. Let's uncheck these so we get more titles in it. I built this because it's interesting to see how well models can handle the reasoning of like 3D space around how skateboard tricks are described and how deep their knowledge of skateboarding is. I did not make this UI. This UI was made entirely by V0. I wanted to deploy an update with new data and nothing else. I had not changed a single other thing in this project. Deployment 1 failed because a vulnerable version of Next.js was detected, which is funny because it still did the whole build before then. You'd think it would stop and not bill me for the build time. What the fuck, Vercel? You can read the package JSON before doing the build. Don't charge me for the build and then error after. If you're not going to let me deploy it, don't let me build it. Second time I did this, vulnerable version still detected. I thought I had changed at this point. I guess I hadn't. No, I remember this one. I still had the PNPM file, but I had accidentally installed with bun. So fix that. Third time it fails because the build failed. Because with this update from Next 15 to 16, they switched to TurboPack, and TurboPack couldn't build the CSS from Tailwind because I used the template that Vercel gave me from V0. So Vercel's own super minimal UI template for Next.js with V0 and Tailwind, of course, cannot be built on the new version of Next. I almost was interested enough to deep dive and figure out what went wrong here. Then I remembered I have other things to do, so I fixed it with --webpack. The reason this happened is because they default to TurboPack in the latest version. It is so annoying that I have to care about any of this. It is so annoying. Like, these are the things I'm pissed off about. Like, the fact that the template that they use for V0 wasn't tested aggressively with TurboPack so that the old version works, and that it seems like they're primarily testing this, by like using newer projects and scaffolds in their giant internal Vercel project. Like, they are using TurboPack with real projects. They're using it with real projects and new projects. They're not using it with these in-between projects that came out of their own shit. And like, I want to use V0 for things more. It's really convenient having a decent like tool to make a UI for some random bullshit whenever I need one. I regret it. It has now cost me more time than it saved me because of this bullshit. It's just annoying. And I will be doing this myself with probably my own template using ShadCN and just using Cursor along with Opus or Gemini 3 for doing this type of work in the future. I'm annoyed. I'm sure they'll fix it eventually. Probably now because I'm complaining about it. But that was just my experience mitigating this has been dumb bullshit all around. And that's just my favorite example, that like my CSS broke because I was mitigating a CVE. What the fuck? I don't think I have anything else to say on this one. Update your React versions. This isn't a big problem anymore. This is security researchers realizing there's a cool surface area to look at. Most security researchers aren't that locked in on what's going on in the dev world. So this is a huge, big spotlight put on React for them to say, oh, I have a rough area to go in here to find things. And as long as you're on the latest version, you're good. This isn't because React is some inherently insecure framework because it has a server-side component. Everything else has things like this. They're just not known yet. The RCE was really bad. It's good that we got that addressed. These are good things to have addressed too. And if you don't know what you're talking about with this stuff, just shut your fucking mouth and go about your day. It's fine to not have an opinion on every single thing going on. There have been so many things I have stayed out of recently because I don't know my shit. This is one of the ones I know well, so I have to come out here and crash out a little bit because it's annoying. And Vercel, please test your own shit on your own shit. Why are your templates failing on the latest versions of your framework on your infrastructure? And why are you billing me for build times on things you know I can't deploy? What the fuck, guys? Ah. And speaking of which, I had a chance to complain about this. Weather Crumb, you're entirely on point. Vercel logs aren't just buggy, they are so unusable that it actively harms our business. It is so fucking frustrating. The amount of times my team complains to me every day that Vercel's logs are super broken, y'all need to do a big overhaul of it. That's all I got to say. You've got my complaints about Vercel. You've got my thoughts on this exploit. You've got my bitching on this tweet. I think I have said everything I need to. Please stop bothering me about this. I hope this is helpful. Keep your application secure. Stay on the latest versions and yeah, you know what I feel about this. Let me know what you think. And until next time, peace, nerds. Cool. Cool. That is done. Are these done yet? They are. That costs $50 to run. There's what's so interesting about it. Gemini 3 Pro is a really good reviewer. It's a shit writer. And these results are mostly aligned with the ones I posted. I have that in here somewhere. Is Gemini or GPT-5 still the worst reviewer? No, it's close though. Interesting. 5.1 was a much worse reviewer. Cool. This will be fun. I want more good examples of it being, or of the models being dumb though. Let's go straight into it. That's hilarious that you used GPT for planning and Kimmy as the writer. I like that a lot. This is a writing comparison bench that I made. I don't watch TV much. This seems fun. I'll get into this later for sure. Cool. Because Grok sucks at writing and this bench is really expensive to run already, every additional essay makes it a lot harder and worse. Yeah, I have broken the watch later playlist so many times. Okay, let's do this one. I did see that. That was really fun. Let's do it. This might be a video, actually. I have thoughts. Why is VS Code so slow? I am too, Aiden. 502 is made by Google. Yeah, I feel that. That's how I'll frame this one. I have seen that. Excited to see where it goes, but probably not for me. Cool. Let's do this one. Ah. I don't need any more. Cool. Thought I did have another version or example saved. Let me grab that quick. Here it is. Cool. Remember that new smartest model we got a few days ago? Remember that new smartest model we got a few days ago? It's been really, really great, which is why we're seeing awesome posts like this, where it counts the number of R's in garlic, which clearly has 2 R's. Wait, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it has 0. Ah. Or when I was just asking it some test questions I was playing with around financial advice, it decided to compare an amount of money being made on interest to a $300K salary taxed at 80%. Look, I know I live in California. My taxes are bad, but what? What? I knew something was off with this model. Even when I was testing it early, I have reported all of the weird findings and problems I have had since day one to the team working on it, and even forwarded them test runners that I built so they could replicate my tests themselves. Something is wrong here. Something is really, really wrong. 5.2 isn't the usual, like, oh, it's a good model with some quirks. It feels more like a Google model in terms of its problems. And I have my theory for why this is happening. And here it is. I think it's the benchmarks. I have my plan for how we'll get to the... I want to go transition. I have an idea for the transition. Because these benchmarks aren't measuring what it's like to actually use them. Since I've grown to dislike most of these benchmarks, I've been running a lot more of my own, and it turns out that's pretty expensive. So we're going to take a quick break for today's sponsor and then dive into all my results. Cool. So as I was saying before the break, there are a lot of different... So as I was saying before the break, this model is killing it on benchmarks. They went ham on everything. There are certain benches that they went so far ahead, it's insane, like the GDP val. If you're using this model to do high-level research work that happens to be covered within GDP val for traditional white-collar tasks, it's probably okay at it. But if you turn off thinking and try to talk to it, it's much less okay. I want to find a thing. Okay, the other issue I saw was only on mobile. Good to know. Cool. Never mind. So how can we measure this model in a more realistic way? Let me find here. Well, it turns out there's a lot of... All right, let's see full results. Why is that? Board, here we go. Well, it turns out I'm not the only YouTuber making alternative benchmarks that are showing very different results from these more traditional research ones. This is Simple Bench, which is by AI Explained, who's a great YouTube channel. I highly recommend checking him out. And he ran this, and as you can expect, he ran GPT 5.2 against his benchmark. You also might notice it's not visible here. That's because we got to scroll a little. I know, is it not visible on this at all? Where did Lasan get this result from? Oh, here it is. Yeah. Cool. Reread on that. Turns out I'm not the only YouTuber with interesting benchmarks that go against the current understanding of what models are best. This is Simple Bench by AI Explained. He's a really good YouTuber. Highly recommend checking him out if you haven't. I watch almost all of his videos about the new models especially. And his benchmark is a simple bench of hard questions he got from some of his friends in various fields and asks the models to answer. It's a private eval, so nothing can train against it. And you can see here that GPT 5.2 isn't exactly where we would expect it to be. It's actually quite a bit lower. It's below Claude 4 Opus and Claude 4.1 Opus and Grok 4. That's not great. It's even below Gemini 2.5 Pro, which scored weirdly high. But this is part of why I find this to be an interesting bench, especially when you compare it with mine, because I have really genuinely struggled to write benchmarks that 2.5 Pro performs well on. There's a whole thing about the vibe with Google models, and I have a whole separate video planned to talk about just that, how I find the vibes off on them. And that's everything from hallucinations to tool calls and more. And Gemini 3 Pro is as bad as Gemini 2.5 was in most of those regards. That said, when it comes to actual usability and intelligence and the capability, like how good is the best thing the model can do, 5.2 is better in this regard, but it's not enough better. I also kind of misled you guys here. 5.2 Pro is the model that got 8th. This is the super, super duper expensive one. GPT 5.2 High, the actual usable version, is below Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Yes, you heard me correctly. There is something wrong with this model. Another easy way to see this is my skate bench results. I have it on the web as well, but I want to just look at it here first to show you guys the chaos that I'm experiencing. I was literally in the GPT-5 reveal video saying that I'd never seen a model score this well on my skate bench. And I was running GPT-5 on the default medium reasoning levels, and it got a perfect score for that run. I got a 97% here. It's really good at naming skateboarding tricks. I know this benchmark's weird, but I don't care because it's measuring things others can't, and it's giving me actual useful information. The skate trick test is simple. I give the model this role of naming skateboard tricks. I describe the trick as to give the name. The way skateboard tricks are named is kind of weird. It's a combination of historical naming and things that changed over time, as well as a weird level of spatial awareness. The axis the board rotates on, the amount the board rotates, there are two main axes the board rotates on. There is the horizontal spinning like this, and there is flipping like what you know is a traditional kickflip. You can combine those two rotations to make different tricks, and the way your body spins as well affects the name of the trick. If the board spins 180 degrees horizontally and does a kickflip direction rotation, and I don't move, that is a varial kickflip, or a varial flip for short. If I do move as well, if I follow the board along for the spin, it now becomes a backside kickflip or a backside flip. So it's an interesting way of doing reasoning and spatial orientation testing. And it was mind-blowing to me that the highest score I'd seen before that demo at the OpenAI office was in the 70% range, and then it immediately got a perfect score on GPT-5. And this is a rerun I just did, I think literally yesterday. And it got the exact same score it got when I made my video, which is a 97%. And 5 High got a 98. Not much better, but better. It also cost over twice as much and generated significantly more tokens, but you get what you pay for. It was better, just not a lot for this. 5.1 regressed a lot. 5.1 on default settings for medium was an 86%, and high was down to a 92. And somehow 5.2 got even worse. When I used the no reasoning version, which they were really excited about, it got a 2%. 2%. To whoever was saying that this isn't an actual spatial reasoning demo, it's just memorization, why is a non-reasoning model performing literally 98% worse than the reasoning version if it's not doing reasoning? And then, of course, 5.2 extra high did much better and cost way more. GPT-5 with a 97% cost 0.6 cents per question. X high got an 81% on 5.2 and cost 2.6 cents each run. That is almost 5 times more expensive for a 17-point hit. I'm sorry, this is just bad. And then the Pro version, which was 10 times more expensive than GPT-5, getting 1 additional point, an 82 instead of an 81. I know this is far from a definitive benchmark, but I do find it interesting in how well it notices a certain type of regression that we are definitely experiencing right now with 5.2. It is a weird model to use, and I'm not the only person from that GPT-5 reveal video that feels this way. I know Ben, for example, is very upset that GPT-5 high stopped appearing in Cursor, and he just doesn't like using 5.1 or 5.2 as much. I get it. 5 felt different. There's clearly improvements with these, like they're better at UI, they can solve a lot of hard math and other challenging problems. But I'm not liking 5.2, and I think it's because they benchmaxed too hard. To be fair, 4.5 Opus Thinking High, which is the model I'm using the most right now, got a 68% on this bench. So I'm not saying that this bench getting a good score means the model is good. What I'm saying is that the regression seems to mean something. But this is far from the only thing I wanted to test. I've been working on a new side project that I'm calling the Writing Arena, where I give... I'm starting a new project that I'm calling the Writing Arena, where I take a couple different models, have them all write essays, have all the other models give feedback on the essays. The original model then updates the essay, and then I do a 1v1 for all of these essays, asking all of the models to rank them based on which one it thinks is better. So it's a head-to-head, tons of different essays, every model shown them, and asked which of these two is better. And the results are fascinating. If we look at the essays pre-review, GPT 5.2 did pretty well. It won 114 of the essay comparisons, and it lost 66 of them. Kimi K2 Thinking won 97 of them and lost 82 of them. As I've been saying for a bit, Kimi K2, super underrated as the model you talk to. This is still set as my default on T3 chat. I genuinely really enjoy it. Like, I'm not joking. Kimi K2 is the one that I use the most. It's a really nice model. I genuinely like how it writes a lot. It's good. Give it a shot if you haven't. Use code Kimmy, please, at checkout on T3 chat for your first month for $1. Every other month will be $8, and it's significantly nicer to use than any of the GPT models when you're just asking questions and talking to it. So I knew it would do pretty well here. I was pumped to see it so far above Gemini 3 Pro and Claude 4.5 Opus. I don't like how either of these write. Everybody who's saying they have nice natural tones, no, they don't. But remember, this benchmark isn't just comparing them as writers. It's comparing them based on the reviews that they file as well and the results of the essay once the feedback from the reviewer has been applied. So let's scroll down here to the author plus review scores. When you let GPT 5.2 be reviewed by 4.5 Opus, the win rate goes from a 63% to an 87.8%. When you let Gemini 3 Pro review it, it's an 87.2%, which is really interesting that these two are so close to each other. And when you let Kimi do the review, it's down to an 86.1. This is really interesting. This means that the GPT model, or this means that 5.2 is really genuinely good at applying feedback. And this is how it feels for my usage as well. I found that the GPT models, especially these new ones, are much better at instruction following in general, even compared to something like Opus. If you tell it what to do, it will do it. And if you tell it what to do different, it will do it. And I don't want to discount that because that is the biggest strength of the GPT models right now, in my opinion, is how well they do what they were instructed. The new one does feel a little more willing to work outside of the bounds of what it's supposed to. Like I noticed it running TSC commands more and making changes outside of the scope of what I asked it to do. 5 wouldn't ever do that. It does exactly what you ask and nothing more. But this shows here where if you give the model feedback, it handles that feedback really well. Then we see Opus reasoning with 5.2's feedback is third place. And we don't see Opus again for 2 more positions, which I find really genuinely interesting. That Opus only performs well with feedback it gets from GPT-5. And even then, it's still over 13 points lower than what GPT-5.2 with Kimi is getting. And it's 14 or 15 points lower than what we're getting from 5.2 with Claude reviewing. If you just switch who's reviewing it, the scores drop significantly. Opus being reviewed by Kimi being reviewed by Claude or GPT does pretty well as well. Then we're back to Claude reviews. You get the idea. What's really funny is when we have Gemini being reviewed, it doesn't seem to really matter. Again, with my theory, the Gemini models don't follow instructions for fucking shit. So it doesn't matter how good of a feedback session you have with Gemini 3 Pro. It's still going to go off in its own world and do its own strange shit. It's like that. Let me grab some of the essays so we can actually read them so people don't call me insane. Cool. So here is an essay from Gemini 3 Pro on how social media reshapes human connection. In the span of a single generation, the architecture of human interaction has undergone a structural revolution. For millennia, human connection was constrained by geography and biology. Okay, let's go to GPT 5.2. Human connection has always been shaped by the tools people use to find one another. The printing press widened the circle of those who could share ideas. The telephone shrank distances into a voice. The internet turned messages into a near-instant, borderless exchange. Significantly better already. Comically so. Communicate2s is fine. I'll publish all these results somewhere. It'll be in the description if you want to see it. But then we can take a look at the feedback. Let's look at, Claude's feedback on the GPT 5.2 essay. This impressive, sophisticated, and thorough essay, you've avoided the trap that ensnares most writing on the topic, the temptation to render a simple verdict on whether social media is good or bad for connection. Compare this to the feedback I gave to Gemini. This is a sophisticated, intellectually ambitious essay that demonstrates genuine command of the subject matter and impressive stylistic range. Your central argument that social media is traded for breadth, intimacy, for connection is compelling and well sustained throughout. Writing is confident, vocabulary is precise, structured, logical. You're clearly thinking at a high level of the topic. That said, there are opportunities to strengthen the essay's persuasive power and intellectual rigor. And it gave a lot of feedback. On 5.2's essay, it gave about the same amount by the looks of it. Yeah, roughly the same amount of feedback. But let's look at the revision now. 5.2 revised by Claude. Intro looks pretty much the same. What was the feedback? I should actually read that feedback. Okay, here's the areas for development. Absence of concrete evidence. This is the essay's most significant limitation. You make numerous empirical claims about algorithmic behavior, psychological effects, the value of weak ties, but support almost none of them with specific evidence. Consider the platform's goal optimizing engagement often favors emotionally charged material. This is widely believed and probably true, but in its current form, it reads as an assertion rather than demonstration. This is actual good feedback. Claude is good at this. It's much worse at writing, but it's much better at feedback. And when you look at how the revision comes out, you'll see a lot more specific feedback being addressed. And if you look at how it updates the essay, you'll see a lot of these specific things being addressed. Now, where is that section? I want to see that. Round one, it is here. Go to the goal maximizing section entirely. I wish I could see that. I wish I saved the reasoning trace that it had for this. I don't even know if I'm requesting it right now. Yeah, and here it's dropping actual names of researchers. So it has proof that these things are real to an extent. Does it give any more specific examples? This is actually really well written. Parasocial ties are not simply weak ties. Weak ties in Granovetter's sense still live in the realm of reciprocity. Two people can exchange help, information, or care, even if lightly. Parasocial closeness is different. It is intimacy without shared obligation. This can be soothing, even stabilizing. It can also become a substitute for relationships that require negotiation, patience, and the risk of being misunderstood. That's a fucking really good paragraph. I'm not going to lie. Like, yeah, fascinating. So yeah, the results speak for themselves. In Gemini 3 Pros, doesn't really matter who reviewed it. It's just, there are no sections. There is no structure. It's just like a boring 5-paragraph essay, even after the feedback. God, this paragraph's awful. To view social media solely as a corrosive force, however, is to ignore its capacity for genuine mobilization and solidarity. It is true that for many, particularly neurodivergent individuals or those with physical disabilities, the asynchronous nature of the screen is not a barrier but a bridge, allowing for thoughtful self-disclosure that may be impossible in person. That is the whole sentence. God, this is so bad. It's so bad at writing. Like, the vibes are wrong here. Something is really off. Yeah. So I guess 5.2 is good at writing, especially if you let another model review its writing. Gemini 3 Pro is so bad at writing. I don't know why anyone thinks otherwise. And letting the models rank which model's best at writing might not give a great result, but I've read a lot of these essays. It's pretty clear whose essays are better, and I agree with most of the rankings that the models do. Yeah. As chat said, the sentence I just highlighted is amongst the worst sentences they've ever seen. It's so bad. It's so bad. The amount of times that... Oh, actually, no, this is different essay. Cool. Yeah. And if you want to run the bench, all the code is open source and up on GitHub. You can feel free to run it yourself and add your own models if you want. Warning, though, it is not cheap to run this one. $50 for just these 4 models I tested. And every time you add a model, the number of runs exponentially increases because you have to rank every model against every model because it's doing 1v1 comparisons. When I ask them to rank the essay scale of 1 to 10, they're all way too generous and give it 8, 9s, or 10s always, so the difference is much less clear. If you ask them to compare them, you get much better results. So heed my warning. This is expensive and annoying to do right. I'm happy with my results. I feel like I learned a lot about it. I'm going to keep experimenting with this, and if I have better results, I might make my own dedicated video. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of benches like this, and the results have been interesting. Yeah, this is how I feel about Gemini 3 Pro. It starts a sentence, and it forgets where it's going to do. This is how I feel about Gemini 3. Good call out, Evelyn. It starts a sentence and forgets where it's going before it gets to the end. Yep. Should I have the models review their own essays as well? Probably, but haven't had a chance to add that, and it'll be more expensive too. Yeah. TLDR is GPT's best at listening and easiest to guide. I would say overall, yes. It still feels the most steerable of any model I've ever used. 5.2 is a little more willing to go off the beaten path than GPT-5 is. I love how well GPT-5 just does what you ask and nothing more. It almost feels like sterile in a way. That's the best I can put it. Gemini 3 Pro is like the overexcited engineer that just wants to go change every single thing around it. Oh, I like this even more. Gemini 3 Pro feels like a high school student that's trying too hard. Yes. Yes. The simplest I can put this. The simplest I can put this is always a diagram. If you look at the trajectory of a model, like how much I like it, and you rank this over time, most of the time as new models come out, my actual liking of it goes up alongside it. If you were to not have this top axis be how much I like it, you were to have it be intelligence based on benchmarks. And you look at how smart Gemini 3 is, this would be the Gemini line. We'll make it green for Google. Over time, the Gemini models get smarter as new ones come out. It's actually flat and then spiky because Gemini doesn't release that often. We haven't had a new major model release that's for actual hard work since 2.5 at the beginning of the year, and now we got 3 now, whereas all the other labs are shipping a hell of a lot more. Obviously, something like OpenAI shipping all the time, or Anthropic, goes up a whole bunch. Although it is closer, and obviously sometimes things get ahead and behind. You get the idea. And also, if we're being honest here, we need to move both of these over because OpenAI's line is interesting. I'll move these slightly back to make this do what I'm trying to get it to do. If you put an OpenAI's line, things get weird because OpenAI was a bit ahead, but you get the idea. This is roughly how it feels when the new models come out. They're generally going up and to the right. But from my experience, things are a little different. If you make this how I feel using them, there's obviously the bias of like my expectations are raised when good new models come out. But if we were to rank how I feel about OpenAI models, didn't have much of a feeling. Oh, this is kind of useful. Oh, wait, this is actually quite useful. Wait, it's getting worse. This has been my curve of my experience with OpenAI models. I still haven't felt a meaningful win since GPT-5. I had glimpses of it with 5.1 Pro of like, oh, this is solving things that I struggled for days to solve. But it's very specific puzzle type experiences, not day-to-day work. And at this point, my day-to-day work and the things I use models for, models are mostly good enough at it. Like a smarter model doesn't meaningfully benefit me in my day-to-day writing code in most projects. So what I'm looking for is different things. I want a model that follows instructions better. A smarter model doesn't necessarily do a better job of doing what I tell it to do. And these benchmarks tend to be so simple and so limited in scope that they don't really measure what happens when you give a model access to too many things. Like when you do a math contest with a model, there isn't other code in the repo that it can touch and do stupid things with. If you give Gemini 3 Pro access to a code base and tell it to fix one small thing, it's going to touch a lot of random shit. These benchmarks aren't measuring how well the model works. They're measuring how smart the model is measured to be based on that test. So I want models that are smarter. So I don't want models that are smarter much anymore. I want models that are faster and better at doing what I tell them to do without getting distracted. And we're starting to make improvements in this direction. Something like Composer 1 in Cursor is a great example. It's slightly dumber than I would like for that type of model to be, but man, if Composer 1 was like 20% more intelligent, I wouldn't really touch anything else. It's just so much faster, it's annoying. Let me commit these changes quick. Yeah. So I was talking about moving this project over to use effect because it would be a lot less annoying to deal with if it was using effect. So let's do that. So I want to show the difference in how it feels using Opus versus Composer versus any of these other things. Multiple models, Composer, Opus 5.2. I want this project to use effect TS. Use it to handle workflows and concurrency. Cool. Effect is not easy, and most models aren't good at it yet. So this will be a fun test. Tell it to make work trees on Arena V2. And now I will show you just how much absurdly faster Composer is than everything else. Made the to-dos. It's gunning shit out. Opus is suggesting that we do plan mode instead. We're going to skip that suggestion. Composer's already 2 to-dos in. Opus is finally making a to-do list. GPT 5.2 is probably not going to make a to-do list because for whatever reason, the GPT models are really bad at to-do list creation and management. It's funny. They're great at following instructions. They're not great at making their own instructions. Composer's getting close. Composer's getting close now. It's over 3 done. You can see how slow 5.2 is when it's generating. I have a video I recorded of a screen recording of like how bad it can get. Inline disk has been suppressed for recent changes because there are too many display. Disable protection or don't show again. I'll just hide that for now. It's at 1058. Is it done? It's almost done. Yeah, it is. Cool. Composer 1 is done. Was that immediate? No. Was it enough time for me to leave my desk or get distracted? No. Was it enough time for me to reach over and have a sip of my drink? Opus is 2 of 5 to-dos done, and GPT 5.2 has edited 40 lines of what will probably be 1,000+ line change. This is my issue. I suspect the other models are going to take another minimum 10 minutes on this, probably more. Opus might be a little bit faster than that, but I'd be very surprised if 5.2 finishes this in less than half an hour. There is a Zed employee in our chat right now, and funny enough, Michaela, I have a good friend, you probably know who he is. His name is Ben, he helps run my channel, who was really enjoying Zed and has said verbatim he is not moving to it for two reasons. One is that he likes the tab complete more in cursor, and two is he likes composer too much in cursor. So you have users that are much, much more locked in than I am at this point that would be on Zed, but the model is the thing that's sticky now, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, it could happen. Like, if y'all can find a way, or if some other third party can come in and make something that is that fast and that good for other harnesses to use, something magical could happen. Because Composer is one of those like, oh shit, I can just let this do the thing moments. And honestly, for most tasks, when I'm just working, if I don't think it needs a planning step, I will start with just running it on Composer. And if it gets it wrong, I don't care. I just throw it away because it took seconds to do, and then rerun it with a smarter model and leave my desk. Cursor hired the Super Maven guys, right? Yep, that's how this all happened. It was a very, very good hire for them. They acquired Super Maven. Got me more equity in Cursor, by the way. Yeah, as always, I have Cursor equity. Doesn't stop me from complaining about them. I do more than most people do. Cursor has its problems, but I am an investor because I have a lot of faith in the team, and their acquisition of Super Maven to lead Tab Complete and now help build models like Composer, the reason it's so good makes a lot of sense. Jacob is a god. And as I've been talking this whole time, they're still running. They will probably continue running, but I don't want to waste any more of your time because I've already done a lot. You get the idea. 5.2 is really smart, but it's not necessarily good. And I've been thinking about this way too much since I started using them more, and I wanted to get this off my chest. Really. Normally, I have a better outro in mind, but I remember that I tweeted this yesterday, and I think it summarizes my thoughts better than I could ever now. GPT 5.2 is the smartest model ever. GPT 5.2 is the smarter model. Opus 4.5 is the better model. And Gemini 3 Pro is indeed a model. That's all I got for you guys. And until next time, peace, nerds. Fun. Do I have to go add the Kimmy, please? Let me go double check. I think I have one. Board. Coupons. Dollar. That's open. Cool. Phase Kimmy-PLS is the code, but I did also add Kimmy-PLEASE, so both will work. Cool. I want to check something else when I was in here. Cool. That is all done. I've had my fun. Let me thank all the subs when I was filming. We got Zocker with the Prime. I think I got you guys, actually. We got GoN11 with the 2 months of support. And Raz, are you on TV? Depends on how you define TV, but yes. Thank you, YouTube chat, as well. Are you able to thinking or non-thinking? Right now, I'm defaulting to thinking, but the non-thinking version is also really good. I like both quite a bit. Close that. Cool. They're all finally done. And the reviewer that they have built in preferred this one, apparently. Interesting. I'll read the code later. I am actually curious about that. Move this over. I'll make this a mid-pry. I want to check DMs quick. Nope. Let's grab that. Cool. God, the air in here is really bad CO2 wise. I'm gonna open the door and air out the room quick. 1 sec. I felt myself starting to get a headache and I was like, oh no, am I getting sick? And then I looked at the CO2 monitor. It's like, no, I'm just killing myself with my air. I appreciate the Prime, Alex. Don't worry at all. Happy you're here. They added customizability for it. Making it easier to create the styles is really, really cool. I think my chat already explained why this sucks. So, like, that page load was bad and doesn't really seem to explain what it's doing. Yeah, this doesn't explain what it is. Oh, did he really? Was he on a different account before? You are very annoying, bud. Yeah, my Tanzanite migration video is filmed. It'll be out somewhat soon. Yeah, from here. Settings in Z. I like this, actually. Yeah, for building something like Z or building with Rust, I'm not surprised other models have not performed well. But for like random JavaScript shit with a well-defined plan, it is incredible. Yeah, OS 4.5 is nuts. It's like a step function. Thank you guys for the hype train. Thank you, Wendro, for the 5 months of support, and Leo is a dev for the 3 months. What are we doing right now? Great question. Figuring out what we're going to film next. Probably the Shad CN vid. Let's do that. I'll hit that, so they're all here. I have not touched any of the agent frameworks. I've been very unimpressed, honestly, with them. Because like every agent use case I have is so different that any attempt to abstract just gets in my way from my experience. Yeah, I'm sorry about my time zones. I film when I have the time to film, and it tends to be weird times. I'm sorry. But like the streams are not the good thing. The videos are the good thing. The streams are just how I make the videos. Let me go to here. I want to see how we're doing on the YouTube side. Not bad. More people showing up than I expected. Thank you all for hanging out. I would need a really good example and branding to do this with. The streams are better if you want to talk to me. The videos are better if you want to get information. FaZe kills it. Thank you, Lily. The videos are so comically better. Like it's sometimes I'll watch the video and be like, wow, I didn't know I said that well because I was surrounding it with a bunch of stupid bullshit, and FaZe pulls the essence of the video out of the bullshit. Oh, good luck, man. Gartel's a cool crew. Not above bribes. Well, let's figure out everything I need for this. I think I do. Let's do it. That's not what I was trying to do. Marker Shad CN just changed forever. If you've been around here for any real amount of time, it's not a particular seeker. How do I want to open this one? I have a rough idea. If you've been around here for much time at all, you're probably already familiar with how much I love ShadCN. It's such a good blend of a component library, a style system, and something that actually lives in your code base. It's always been fully customizable, which is so important when you're building a system that is going to define how everything you build looks and works. But it's still a system that they're providing you. And as a result, a lot of websites just kind of stick with it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen what feel like the exact same tooltip, the exact same drop-down menu, or the exact same toast when something goes wrong on the site. And it seems like the ShadCN team feels the same way, which is why they just introduced the biggest change they have made to date with ShadCN Create. It is now possible. It's always been possible to customize ShadCN, but it's never been put up front quite to this level. They built a whole system for building your own ShadCN. It's so, so cool. I'd go as far as to say it's based. And not just because it's based on base UI now instead of the old... I'd go as far as to say it's based. And not just because it's based on top of the new base UI primitives instead of the old Radix UI ones, although you can switch between the two, but because they put a ton of effort into this. It's really, really cool stuff, and I want to demo all the fun things we can do with it, as well as the history of how we got here. If you build applications for the web, I promise this one's going to be worth watching, but as y'all know, I have not been paid by Vercel in a very long time. In fact, I've spent a lot more money on Vercel than I have paid. Someone's got to cover a quitter. Someone's got to pay us, though, so let's hear from today's sponsor. Actually, retake for the transition. As always, Vercel is not paying us anymore. In fact, I've spent a lot more money on them than they're paying us. Nobody who we're talking about today is paying us, except for today's sponsor. Cool. I know I said I was really excited, but I don't think you guys understand to what level. This is going to make so many of the things I build a lot less ugly. You can customize everything. You pick your component library, icons, base color, theme, fonts, and build something that doesn't look like everything else. Have you ever seen a component library this self-aware that even though the whole thing is customizable, they're not going to take this... Retake on that. Yeah. Have you ever seen a component library author call this out up front so directly? Like, ShadCN was the most customizable option of any component library, arguably in history, because it dumps the code in your code base so you can change it yourself. Despite that, ShadCN's out here directly saying that people are building things that look like everything else, and they're making it way easier to not do that. No longer are you just copy pasting their code and never touching it. When you go to the new site, you click the new project button. You can view components, but you can create a project. And when you do this, you can do a lot more. We have this fancy new sidebar. We have this fancy new sidebar here where I can pick the base component library between Radix and base UI. You have a preset colored style. There's Vega, which is the classic look. Nova, which is a little more compact, where they reduce default margins and change how some like box wrapping and corner radiuses work. Maya, which is a lot rounder and softer. Lyra, which is a much boxier look. This is the classic like brutalist look that's getting really popular right now. And then Mira, which is a compact mode for really dense interfaces. This is a really cool way of framing this, like having the like rough what you'd want this for. Personally, I'm loving that brutalist look lately, so I'm going to be going for Lyra as my starting point. And you have your base colors. Thank God. I hate the default grays in Tailwind because as you see here, that is blue. Gray in Tailwind isn't gray, it's blue. I get it. Grays are hard to do right, and they were way overused, and the blue grays, for a lot of things, look a lot better, but I hate them. I really, really hate them. So I'm going to go with neutral, although stone and zinc are really good too. Stone is a little bit of like a brownish look to it. Hopefully that comes across with the video compression, but I'm sticking with neutral. But then there's the theme color. This is where things get really fun, because I can pick pink. I know this might seem silly, but having a top level like accent theme color like this can really make things stick out in your UI. I don't love the boxiness of the warning label here, though. I'm assuming the other styles don't do that, and that will have a different look to it. Yeah, that is the case. I do like the boxiness overall, so I am going to stick with it. But then you have font. I'm amazed they're still going with Enter as the default. If you want proof that Vercel isn't some crazy monopoly, Vercel has an alternative font to Enter. And I really like it. I use Geist all the time. I use it for my thumbnails. I was using it earlier today when getting ready for stream. I don't really call bullshit on this because I literally had this Affinity project open right before starting. Open recent, 12:13. Select this text. See that? Geist. I love this font. It's really good, and it's open source. They update it regularly. It's a good font. I like it. But instead, they're using Enter. I'm surprised Geist isn't even in this list. Oh, is it? But lower down. I didn't know you could scroll it. There's a hint for you guys. Finally, I have some actual feedback to give the team. Make it clear that this is scrollable, because I would never have guessed that this is a scrollable list. Oh, I actually like the Nunito Sans. Outfit's got a weird, like, slightly condensed look to it that I like as well. I like this. And you have the radius options where you can choose how much border radius you want. Wait, does that mean I could do a different base style and then change the radius to be none? Oh, that is good. That's really good. I like that a lot. I'm still sticking with Lyra for now, but man. Then you have accent color or accent styles where it can be subtle or bold. I don't think that appears anywhere in here. Oh, this should be clear that it's destructive, because I just undid all the things I did. If I make customizations, that should probably be hidden. Sorry, get this off him. Sorry, my cat has strong opinions on styles, as you can tell. Ow, buddy. I'll open the door 1 sec. Sorry, I have a package being delivered too. So much going on at once. Hi, buddy. Are you kidding? He's a shoulder cap, but he's not very good at it. Like, look at this. Hey, bud. He's purring so much. I saw somebody ask which model Miles likes the most. He's a big fan of Grok because he's anti-vax. To be fair, I don't think any cat likes vaccines, but he really doesn't. Have you guys found my joke funny? Buddy, I was filming. Okay. He's being so cute. I just need to show him for a little longer. My neck's going to be covered in scratches after this. We're not doing a fit check when my cat's on top of me, guys. And I'm just wearing jeans. I change after stream because it gets miserable and sweaty in here. Nope, he's absolutely not declawed. That's illegal. I'm not interested. I trim him aggressively. He's always got pretty short nails. Like, he's fine. But, like, still a little sharp. And he would not be jumping on my back like this if he wasn't, if he didn't have claws, because he wouldn't be able to stand on it at all. Yeah, it's declawing is like taking bones out of there. Like, it's not good. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I would hope you'd unfollow if I declaw. Not good. Hi, buddy. Yeah, no worries. A lot of people don't know. It's important, though. Good boy. I'm going to be so late if I don't go back to filming. I went from not getting fake mink to a huge fan recently. Like, very, very recently. He's still going. His little paws. He's having the time of his life right now. There's a lot of AI prompt injection things. I'm going to talk more about those in the future. I have a video plan, but not filming that today. Yeah. As I was saying before the interruption, the shuffle button randomizing the whole thing is bad when you just put time into customizing it. But I can go back to where I was. I wasn't too far. Ow, ow, ow. Ooh. Bye, bud. Ow. Wish there was a button to get rid of all the cat hair. I actually like the rose. I really liked the Lyra style. I love you can change the icon sets now, that they have huge icons in here. I wish they would show them in that, but I get why they don't. It'd be annoying to fit these all in. I do really like the Lucide icons, but you got options here, and some of them are really good. We'll throw huge icons in. Why not? Yeah, this is cool. And now I can click Create Project or Open in V0. Oh, you can scroll in this. That makes sense. That's why I wasn't seeing some of the other things. If I change that from subtle to bold, will I see it there? No. Yeah, that's great. You can see all of these options and all these examples in this. This is so good. This is such a nice little way to get the starting point you want And then from there, if you're an AI vibe dev, you can just take this, add it to your project, and you're good to go. I can click create project here. And now I can spin up a new ShadCN project with all of those values configured here with whatever I want to start with. And they have one clicks for Next.js, TanStack Start, and Vite. You're probably wondering why there aren't other frameworks here like Astro or Nuxt. That's because it's all very much React-based. It's built on top of base UI. And these primitives are being copy-pasted into the code base. So let's do a Next.js build for the demo. You know it's going to be what they support best. I'll use Bun because I like Bun. Project name, ShadCN, custom demo. And let's take a look in here. Components UI. It's putting a decent number of them in here, but not like all of them. It has the examples, it has the lib utils, and I'm assuming that a lot of the customization is just happening on the CSS level here, with all the colors and whatnot. Yeah. Cool. This is a good starting point. Let's see what it looks like if I run it. Okay, what's happening here? Shad, do we have to have a talk? Tabbing in your returns is not an optional thing, my guy. Are all of these files not formatted properly? The CSS is formatted fine. These are formatted fine. The layout's formatted fine. What happened here? But did they get a init? They did. And now we have our initialization. The one concern I do have with this is when you create a project, you're not setting up ShadCN in an existing project, you're making a new one, which I don't love. I wish it was easier to like dump this into my existing project, but also it's touching enough things and it's configuring Tailwind for you. I get why it's not that simple anymore. If I save this, it'll fix the tabbing, and then bun run dev. See what it looks like. And here we are. The demo component that has all of our configuration. Oh, cool. This is a good example of a modal. Yeah, I don't love these icons. I might not be a huge icons guy, but it's that easy to set this all up, which is so cool. I want to demo how powerful this is once you have it set up, though. The first thing I'm going to do is add one more class name here for the body of dark, because I just want dark mode always. Oh, did it switch to gray at some point? Yeah, base color gray. I hate that. We're reinitializing. I am annoyed. This is an example of one of those things where I wish I could run it on a project instead of making a new project. And CD2. And yeah, the page component still has the same problem. Hop in here, make it always dark. Get status, get add. I guess I don't know where to push it. Run dev. Much better. Now we're talking. Now I'm feeling good about it. So let's use this as a starting point. I have a couple test prompts I like to use for things. One of the ones I use a lot is my Image Gen Studio prompt, where I say this is going to be an Image Gen Studio, focus on making it beautiful, use dark mode, yada yada. Let's hop into this project. Switch to agent mode. I'll start by using a smarter model. We'll use 5.2. Actually, we'll use multiple models and have Composer 1, Opus, and 5.2. Should I throw in Gemini 3 Pro? Why not? Cool. Focus on making it beautiful. Take advantage of the provided shad, SIA, and components. And let's see how it handles this. Cursor. I'm going to fucking crash out. What the fuck is going on there? I have invested a significant portion of money into this company, and you guys just don't fucking work anymore. I was going to DM you today. Hey guys, we need to have a talk because I'm gonna film the what the fuck's going on at Cursor video. I'm no longer telling you I might do it. I'm doing it. And if I do a follow-up that's cool, they fix Cursor, I will. But you have to fucking earn that because your quality control went to shit. I get an update every day and my experience gets worse. I try to use your new features and they don't fucking work. I try to go back and use the old things and they override my changes. I'm having a shit experience using your product. It was my favorite editor by far. Some of my favorite experiences writing code have been in this editor. And it has gone to fucking shit. You have to fix it. Stop shipping features. Stop bringing on more engineers. Stop building all this new shit when your current stuff doesn't fucking work. I don't care about AI code review number 15 when editor number 1 doesn't work anymore. What the fuck is going on there, guys? Fucking Christ. I have reauthed because I had to, and now all of the selections I just made disappeared. I have to manually go back to multi-mode if it even lets me. It doesn't. What? I don't even have the option to do multiple models anymore. What the fuck is going on? Did they just disable multiple models for me while I was filming? The checkbox is gone. What? Make a new session. I do it in here. Nope. What the fuck just happened? Command Shift / doesn't do anything. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I'm just gonna go update my subscription to the highest tier, I guess. Close, reopen some sidebars, and it worked again. Restart. They're pushing a fix right now. If the crash out didn't get clipped, I'll be it's in this recording. I'll have it for later for sure. Apparently it's gone for others as well. Okay, it's back. Love that. I feel like the editor is now as non-deterministic as the models that it's wrapping. Fucking Christ. Okay. Sorry for the crash out detour. Now that that's over and I can run this, I'm going to have 4 different models generate an image generation mock studio for like making a fake UI for doing image gen. Normally, this is a great test to see how different models handle UI, but now I'm putting them all in this harness that is a ShadCN project, and I want to see how they handle this. I will also separately spin up a fresh Next.js project without ShadCN in order to compare the results. Actually, I'll bun x create next app at latest. Non-ShadCN examples. Recommended defaults. Cool. Get status. Cool. It's already initted. Cool. So now the non-ShadCN version, use Tailwind because I already have Tailwind in the project. Multiple models, same 4 models. I will let this run as well. So we can compare with the ShadCN stuff and without. It looks like Composer's already finished its first pass. Copy work tree path, cd to here, bun run dev, bun install, bun run dev. I forgot to put that in the work tree. That'll be annoying. Up here. And this is what Composer, the ugly, bad model that can't normally make UI made. And this is a usable UI. This is fine. I don't like how it handled the spacing of these little sections here. But other than that, this is not the worst UI I've ever seen for an image gen studio at all. For comparison's sake, it also finished already in the other project, the one that is non-ShadCN. So we'll cd into that, bun install, bun run dev. And here is the slop it made with awful gradients that I'm sure are compressing even worse. Okay, they're not quite as bad in Chrome, but like, this is classic AI slop that it's made. Oh God, the glow on this button is the worst thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And this is the model that's meant to be like really, really fast and not very good at UI stuff. But when you hand it a good template, it suddenly gets really good at it. Now let's see how better models do. So we'll hop into Opus 4.5, which is a significant improvement for UI from our friends over at Anthropic. But how much does the ShadCN stuff help? I thought the smarter model was supposed to make code that works. Oh God, the input is lagging. Your imported icons are not working. God, that's a sticky key thing. Oh God, that hurt me. Okay, let's see how Gemini 3 did. Let's see if its code even runs. Install, bun, run dev. Yeah, the Gemini one is fine. Gemini loves making these useless sidebars. It's its favorite thing to do. If you don't believe that Gemini models love making useless sidebars, you should check out any recent Google product. This love of useless sidebars is now deeply ingrained within Google's surface area. It's like really, really funny how useless and bad the sidebar is in AI Studio. I could do a 2-hour essay. I could do a 2-hour-long video essay on all of the quirks and failures in the sidebar in AI Studio. Anyways, that's fine. But let's compare this to Gemini making it without ShadCN. I have to confirm that I'm willing to let it edit code, even though that's like all it's supposed to do. Why do I have to like re-allow it to edit code? What happened? What config broke? And why was Composer able to do this fine? What the fuck's going on? Why are people asking me questions that have nothing to do with the video I'm currently filming? Cool. Accept another edit. Okay, it's done. Copy path. And here is when the here's when Gemini 3 Pro is allowed to generate it without existing UI template. It looks pretty good. Still has a useless sidebar because that's like the Google model signature. But again, to compare, yeah, it's meaningfully better. It's different though. I don't like the look. I also hate this here. The best I can put it is like Gemini 3 Pro can make a really compelling component. It cannot make a compelling system of design. It can make a sidebar that's good looking, but it doesn't need to make a fucking sidebar. It just goes off and does shit. But at the very least, having a component library kind of like holds it on the rails a bit. Let's go back and compare Opus, which hopefully will work this time now that it's maybe fixed the components or the imports. cd bun install, bun run dev. There we go. Here's the one that was created by Opus 4.5. They did their little gradient thing here, but I don't love it in this layout. I also don't like how the spacing happened with these. Interesting. I was hoping this was going to be like a slam dunk where I would just show the different models making UI with the component library and it would all just look good. Cursor seems to think that the GPT 5.2 one is the best of these, so that'll be fun to look at in a second. But let's compare Opus without my design system. It's beautiful. Why the fuck can't Opus import a font properly? Fuck off, Shotter. I know you're accessing my screen. That's like all it does. How do I get rid of this notification? That was annoying. You suck sometimes, man. And obviously GPT-5 is still going. Oh, so I have to go confirm and edit. Wait, why is it touching the next env.d.ts? This model's automatically generated. It ensures the types are correct. Don't touch it. What are you doing? I hate AI sometimes, man. Let's go look at how GPT 5.2 handled all of this. Oh, wait. This loaded. Okay, Opus. You can have your win. You might not know how to write CSS, but at least you made something that looks really nice. This feels like a landing page, but if I hit generate, will it do a new UI? Okay, I don't like that that's under the fold there, but this looks really cool. It's different. Is this floating up and down? Yes, it is. Very slowly, this floats up and down. Credit where it's due. It did a good job. But what I wanted to see is the shadcn demo, because that's what we're here for. Bun install, bun run dev. And this is the shadcn demo with 5.2. That'll be the last one I show, because I'm going to show the same without the shadcn stuff. Did it make the same mistakes? It made the same mistakes. I blame huge icons for this. If all the models are hallucinating it, it's huge icons. So first piece of advice with the shadcn stuff, if you vibe code, don't use the huge icons pack. It does not know how to use it right. Cool. Well, while it's doing that, let's go look at the non-shadcn example. Here is 5.2 with non-shadcn. It made a little compressed UI. There's a lot of information here. I don't like how it's wrapping titles, like here, the tune for beautiful defaults. But for the most part, pretty good. I think personally, I would rank the UI we just saw from Claude higher. The Opus one was really good. But once that GPT 5.2 generation on shadcn is done, we should have something nice to look at. Yeah, this is way too busy a UI for what it is. Is this done yet? Oh, God. The GPT 5.2 experience. It just took all of that time to change the imported icons and didn't actually change the icons in the UI yet. That uses URL state? Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Hey, friends at Cursor, more what the fuck are you doing UI bugs. This read more button doesn't show the rest of the text. It repeats all of the text. No, it doesn't. It's a summary. This is a summary. This is the whole thing. There's so much overlap. It's just fucking, what? What? God damn it. Is this going to take 20 minutes? Like, what the fuck? I guess it's done. It didn't tell me it's done, but I guess it's done. This is not this one. I would use a faster model to make these fixes, but then it wouldn't be doing a fair test because the point is that I'm using 5.2. I am suffering. And the time it takes for GPT 5.2 to do a basic task, I can train a model that's less fucking obnoxious. I was joking. How is it still going for one icon change? I'm fucking writing the code by hand. No, I'm not, because I can't get to this easily. Fucking hell. Let's see. It's just using an icon that's not even imported? What are you doing? Okay, I fixed it by hand. Well, that's a good UI. 5.2 performed much better at making a decent looking UI when given a component library. That's cool. Was it obnoxious to get here? Yeah. But again, like this has actually become an interesting model showcase where like you can make a model that's bad at UI, decent at it by giving it a component library. You can make a model that's great at UI, slightly worse at it by giving it a component library. And you can make a model that's good at following instructions, make a good UI because that's all it can do. Yeah, this is nice. I like the little subtle gradient here. I like the way it's using the reds. I like the section down here a lot. The history is actually giving like a meaningful amount of context and clicking does something that makes sense. This is good. It's a good mock. It thought things through a little bit more too. I see why this was preferred by the agent in Cursor when it reviewed them all and chose this one. Still rough experience to get here, I won't lie. That said, I do actually believe if I had just used Lucide or some other icon pack that was more commonly used in training data, this would have went better. I have one last thing I want to talk about before I wrap up this video about the cool new ShadCN customization stuff. Sahaj, why am I bringing up this random guy who follows me? Because of something he created. This is TweakCN. TweakCN was an easy way to make your perfect ShadCN UI theme. And it was really, really cool. It became trivial using his site here to pick different colors. You can pick directly from Tailwind colors for your different accents, your primary and your primary foreground, all of the different colors you can use for things. Your typography, it has a lot of options. You can pick different sans serif fonts versus the serif fonts versus the monospace fonts. You have other HSL adjustments you can do, or you can give it an idea of what you want it to do, and it will generate that for you. It's actually really, really cool. And part of the reason that he now works at Vercel, yes, he's now at Vercel, he made TweakCN first. They brought him onto V0 so they can take a lot of this customization and embed it in V0. You can see this little button in the corner here that my face is covering. Open in V0. That's a genius idea. The concept of being able to customize all of these things, bring it into V0, and then go build a UI around it is awesome. That's so cool. You can make it look the style you want it to look, and then bring it to a place to make the application you want with that. There's even an export in Figma button for people who are still designing with real software. I also changed the colors, and when you change things here, it changes them for the entire site, which is really cool. I just made the homepage unreadable because I picked a primary color that wasn't bright enough against the background. I pick yellow 200 and I go to the homepage. Look at that. I think that's so cool that the whole site's theme changes when you make changes here. I don't know if there's any formal overlap between TweakCN and the new customization. I don't know if there's any formal overlap between TweakCN and the new customization built into ShadCN. I would not be surprised either way, whether Sahaj was involved in it or he wasn't, but it's clearly inspired. This is a long time coming, and it's very cool to see it go as far as it has, as quick as it has. It's really cool to see it not super duper tied to Vercel things, not even including Geist as one of the top level fonts, but instead giving you tons of options. It's really cool to see them supporting lots of different frameworks instead of just Next.js. It's really cool that my cat keeps getting in the way. Thanks. Show off for the camera more, why don't you, bud? Buddy. It is time to stop streaming. I was going to stop at 7, but I've had enough things slow this one down that here I am. He is patting himself on my hand because my hand is there. Buddy, can I please finish filming? I'm so close. Yeah, there's so much cat hair going everywhere. I try to keep this room cat hair free, but it was CO2 level like insane, so I had to air it out. And as soon as the doors open, Miles finds his way in. Buddy, I need my laptop there to do my job. Just be gone for a bit. God, I have to like de-hair this entire fucking room now. I know you guys like the cat, but I like the cat not in here because it makes a lot of things annoying. Cool. As I was saying, I really like that ShadCN isn't being used purely as a funnel to Vercel stuff. Their support of other frameworks, their support of other toolkits, their support of other systems, their support of Figma, All of these things are good for the entire ecosystem. And I'm really happy that ShadCN isn't being left behind in the AI era. I've seen lots of other component libraries just kind of be left to the side, whereas ShadCN is continuing to evolve. The goal of ShadCN was always to make it as easy as possible to own your components with a really good starting point. And now it's even easier to get it at the starting point you want. This represents a huge change for the entire component ecosystem. And as always, it feels like the ShadCN team and Shad himself are just leveling up the bar for the entire ecosystem. Websites are going to start looking better as a result of this being pushed, and I'm really excited for that. How do y'all feel, though? Am I overhyping these changes, or is this really exciting? I'm curious how y'all feel, and until next time, peace, nerds. Cool. That was a fun one. Cool. I had fun. Figure out who we're raiding quick. Let me thank the subs I missed first, actually. Buddy, you're not supposed to be in there. I have to kick him out. I'm sorry. Out. Sorry. What do you have for me here? Decent tweet. Okay, who are we rating? Any devs live? Oh, Leslie's live. How long has Leslie been live for? I'm leaning towards... Wait, no, Griff just raided me. We gotta raid Griff. So Griff the raid. Have fun with him. Thanks for coming by on this Saturday. Thank you, Salah, for the sub. Salastris. XYZ Eva, I missed you earlier. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're doing well. I saw you had a bunch of new CVEs. I was going to look into those later. Seagar420 for the resub. Appreciate that. I think I got you already, Leo. Definitely got you, Wendro. Yeah, I got all you guys. Cool. Thank you all as always. Have fun. And YouTube chat, I have been neglecting you guys more than usual. I am sorry. Just needed to get some videos done. I'll be live as usual on Wednesday. I might go live earlier depending on how things go. I will see you all soon. Goodbye, nerds. Goodbye to YouTube as well.